Hey everyone, in this video, I'm going to show you how to compute statistics for two variables using the classic spreadsheet of GeoGebra. So here I am at the website, geogebra.org/classic #spreadsheet. And then you'll notice a familiar spreadsheet on the left side, and then on the right side is where we get our graphs. At the bottom of the page is where you can type in symbols, you can type in numbers, or if you don't want to use this little keypad, you can get out of that and just have more graphing area. All right, so we're going to graph two variables at a time. So I'm going to use some data that I'm going to estimate, and the data is going to be ages of kids in some classrooms. So let's say I look at a kindergarten classroom, and I'm just going to make up a couple of numbers. Let's say that there's a 5-year-old in the class, a couple 6-year-olds, another 6-year-old, another 5-year-old, and let's say there's a 7-year-old in the class, because that can happen. And then in my second column of data, I'm going to say that we have a 6th grade classroom. And so we'll have an 11-year-old, 12-year-old, 12-year-old, 11, 11. Actually, let's change that to a 12 and another 12-year-old. So more 12-year-olds than 11-year-olds in this class. All right, so my goal is to graph and compute statistics of both of these variables at the same time. So in this version of GeoGebra, I will select the columns that I want to do graphs on. So I end up pushing Control or Command and then clicking on the variable names that I need. Then I'm going to go to the little histogram purple icon just above the A and select multiple variable analysis. So this, in the little picture, you might see that there's two box plots and then a little spreadsheet. So click on that and automatically we get stacked box plots. So what's nice about GeoGebra and graphing the data this way is that it was pretty easy to get some box plots. What I don't like about this is that you cannot change column A and column B labels. You can try to click on them and try to go through all the settings, but it doesn't actually work out very well. So for good labeling of graphs, GeoGebra is not so great, but you can kind of hack that by adding on some text boxes if you need to in a Word document program. So the axis is not labeled, so that's another downfall of GeoGebra's box plots, but it gives you a box plot, so that's a good thing. Much easier than Excel can. So we have our two box plots here, and so now we can look for the whiskers and the quartiles and kind of see the spread of both of these graphs. So I noticed that in the column A group, there is a right skew because there's this long right whisker, and then the box is smooshed all the way over to the left side, and I can't even see the left whisker. And then contrast that with the second class of 11 and 12-year-olds, there's no whiskers at all. So what does that tell you about your quartiles? That's something to think about. All right, if you wanted to do some different graphs, you can't. There's only stacked box plots because we're doing these two variables at once. All right, now let's look at the statistics. I go over to the button that is the sigma X, and if I hover over it, it says show statistics. So click on show statistics, and down here at the bottom, we get our statistics. So it's labeling the column A and the column B. And going through these statistics, we have N, our sample size, same for both of my data sets. The sample means, or this is the population mean if this is a population. Then sigma, in case your data is a population, here's your population standard deviation. In case you have a sample, here's S, your sample standard deviation. So you need to be smarter than the computer. You need to know which standard deviation to choose, which is appropriate to your data. Then we have the minimum value, first quartile, median, third quartile, and the max value for those data sets. So most of your basic statistics that you would want to know when you're going to be comparing graphs. So there you go. We have computed statistics and made box plots for two quantitative variables at the same time. If you needed to use 3 or 4 variables, you can do that too, just by selecting more columns of your spreadsheet.